Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. I am doing another book review here, and I actually have an awesome book. A book that is so good that I am actually in the process right now of listening to it for a second time in a row. Sometimes when I read a phenomenal book, I immediately listen to it again because it's so good, and that's what this book is. So, the book I'm talking about was actually a book that was recommended by my good friend Brandon Carter, Big Brandon Carter, and it is called Never Split the Difference. You can check it out here. Awesome book. Gosh, I didn't think I needed a book on negotiation, but this isn't really a book on negotiation. Even though it's a book on negotiation, it's a book on really, selling yourself, I suppose it's negotiation. It's getting along with people and getting what you want and diffusing situations, right? Which is something, it's kind of interesting. When I looked at this book, I'm actually doing a lot of these techniques and I didn't even know it. A lot of the things that this book recommends, because a lot of times my sort of presentation style, a lot of times is to kind of disarm someone before I start getting into kind of the heavy stuff. I think that's why some of you watch this channel, is because I kind of, I lay it all out there in front. I don't hide shit, and then we address it, right? And that's one of the really important things in negotiation. So this book is all about, right? So maybe you've read a book called Getting to Yes, I believe, which is a decent book, right? But that book is all about negotiating from a problem-solving sort of algorithmic perspective, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that, except that human beings are not rational. I don't know if you've noticed this, but you are not sane. I am not sane. We are not rational actors. A lot of economists believed that we're rational. They assumed rationality, that human beings are rational actors, and that led to a lot of economic prediction models that were deeply flawed, because it turns out we're all just nuts, just a little bit emotional nuts. Human beings are emotional and nuts, and they make decisions based on emotions. So this book, Never Split the Difference, it's basically written by an FBI professional negotiator, hostage negotiator, right? And it's about essentially emotional intelligence. It's about negotiating from an emotional and empathetic standpoint, as opposed to trying to negotiate from a pure, let's form an algorithm and numbers and figure out how to get the edge from a technical type of negotiation. But it's not fluff, okay? This is real stuff. I mean, when an FBI negotiator is negotiating for hostages, as he said in the book, you have to get 100% of what you're asking for and give basically nothing, right? Because you can't let the guy go. You can't give him money, and you got to get all the hostages alive. So you've got to win the negotiation. So these are high stakes, and these guys are really successful, and they've honed this practice. So the book essentially talks about this idea, it goes into a few different concepts. One of them is this idea of mirroring. So basically saying the last three words that someone says, which does something that it makes them feel understood, right? And this is really about active listening, right? Which is an important skill. Like when you listen to someone actively, that's the first one. You're not thinking about what you're going to say, right? And you're making them feel understood. You're disarming the situation, right? And that makes them a lot more receptive, okay? And then he goes into a lot of different techniques. One of them he calls labeling. So, the idea would be, and this is one of the ones I do a lot. Like if you read the new book I've got coming out, Complete Software Developer's Career Guide, you can check it out here. You can sign up actually for free chapters on it. Actually, the free book, it's going to come out week by week, and it might be out by the time that you're watching this video, depending on where you're watching the video. Anyway, I touch on some sensitive subjects. I was just writing a chapter this morning called about women in technology. And one of the things that I do is I totally label, I'm like, okay, this is what you're going to think of me. I bring out the bad first. I say, look, this is what it looks like. This is what, this is what your objections are, right? And a good salesperson does this too. But if you read good sales copy, they address your objections before you have them. Because once you have them, then they're set in stone. But if I say, look, dude, I'm an asshole, okay? Let's start off by saying that I'm an asshole. I know that you're gonna think, man, this guy is a blowhard. This guy with his tank top that says beast on it, thinking that he's going to talk about books and whatever, if I address it first, right? If I state that, then you might actually say, oh, hold on. No, I don't think that. I don't think you're an asshole. A little rough, but not really an asshole, right? As opposed to if I didn't say that and I'm like, look, I'm trying to convince you I'm not an asshole, you're like, this guy's an asshole. You see what I'm saying? So he talks about labeling, and like you label someone's emotion, what they're feeling, you tell them what they're feeling, right? And you say it in terms of, it seems this way, or it seems that, right? Not I think that you feel afraid. It's like, it seems that you're concerned that we're going to ram down the door and shoot all of you, right? It's a hostage situation, right? It seems that you're concerned about going to jail, right? It seems that whatever it is. Anyway, that's a really good technique. There's just a ton of these in here, and then he talks about just really solid strategies that you can do from an empathetic standpoint. One of them he talks about like just the black swan, right? This idea that if you talk to someone, you can get some information that you can utilize in that negotiation. And he's got some hardball negotiation with numbers. He covers the whole gambit. It's just a really good book. Just not just like, and here's the thing, this is why I'm listening to it a second time, is I thought, okay, this book is not just for like negotiating your salary, right? In my book, I did a chapter on negotiating your salary, right? Okay, and I talk about that from a tactical perspective. But it's not just about that. It's not just like negotiating. It's navigating life. It's every interaction that you have with a human being is to some degree a negotiation process at this empathetic, emotional level. And so the book is really just, it's that good. It's going to help you interact with human beings better, and to get your points across, and to make your what you want to be more likely to happen when you're interacting with someone who might be opposed to that, right? So anyway, I think it's a really good book. I highly recommend it. Really practical, tactical stuff that you can apply to everyday life. I want to get this into my system, so that I'm utilizing this. Every time that I'm talking with someone, I'm using these techniques because they're so valuable. It makes a lot of sense. So I highly recommend this book. It's called Never Split the Difference. Check it out. Let me know if you've read it, if you've used the tactics and you've had success with them. And again, this is not manipulation in any way. It's really being empathetic. It's like understanding and listening to people is going to get you in a better place, right? And figuring out, some of the classic stuff that you've heard before, like figuring out what is it that they really want. It might not just be the number. Like when you're in a negotiation, you're trying to create a win-win situation. What's a win for you and what's a win for someone else, and what you think is a win for them and what they think is a win for you are often different things. And if you can bridge that gap and understand those things, you're going to have a much more successful outcome, where you can have situations that you didn't think of before, where you're just not fighting over a bone, right? There's a lot of other bones, and you can all have a bone, right? And it's true. This isn't bullshit. So anyway, check it out. If you like these videos, if you like to get more of them, go ahead and click that subscribe button below, and you'll get all the videos that I produce, like 2 to 3 a day. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.